The Barca news. It is March 17th, 2026, and Barcelona squad players or the players, Barcelona players' value continues to climb. Also, Joan Laporta wants to renew the contract of Robert Lewandowski. And finally, reports stating that Barcelona are still paying Sevilla for Jules Kounde. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Bo, and I'm bringing you this short live because today I had to work pretty late, so I didn't have time to film, edit, and post. So instead, I'm doing this short live to bring you all the Barcelona news. This is not a podcast, so unfortunately, I won't be reading your comments live, but this is just to bring you all the news. And of course, I did go live a few moments ago, so if you want to see that news, make sure to check out the video on the channel. Anyways, let's begin with the news because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona's players' value continues to rise with Fermin Lopez, ladies and gentlemen, reaching the 100 million euro market valuation. An incredible rise for Fermin Lopez. I think he was at 70 million the last time I checked. His value now sits at 100 million euros, which makes him the third most valuable player on the Barcelona squad. Of course, in first place is Lamine Yamal with 200 million. In second place is Pedri with 150 million. And now in third place is Fermin Lopez with a 100 million euro market valuation. Absolutely huge for the academy player. Now, speaking of Pedri, since I did just mention his name, his value also went up. His value was sitting at 140 million, 140 million. His value has gone up to 150 million, which honestly to me is low. To me, Pedri should be valued at least 180, but nonetheless, his value has gone up from 140 to 150 million, which makes Pedri the fourth most valuable player in the entire world. Absolutely huge for who I believe is the best midfielder in the entire world. Now, who are the other three? The most valuable players is, of course, Lamine Yamal, Kylian Mbappe, and Erling Haaland. All three of them are valued at 200 million euros each. And Pedri in fourth place with 150 million market valuation. Absolutely huge, even though I still believe that is actually, he's undervalued. I think Pedri should be worth at least 180, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, these are not the only players whose value has gone up. Marc Bernal's value has tripled. Yes, you heard that right. It's tripled in only a few, weeks that he's been playing, where it has gone up from 10 million to 30 million euros. And I'm sure pretty soon we're going to be talking about a 9-figure valuation. And then there are other players whose value has gone up as well, including Joan Garcia, whose market value has gone up from 30 to 40 million euros. Eric Garcia, his value has gone up from 30 to 35 million euros. Gerard Maldini, his value continues to climb now from 20 to 25 million euros. And then Rooney Bardghji, whose value has gone up from 10 to 15 million euros. And right now, Barcelona's squad value sits at 1.17 billion euros. Huge, which just goes to show how much talent we have in our squad, but more importantly, how much academy talent. I mean, Lamine Yamal, 200 million euros, Fermin, 100 million euros. That's 300 million euros right there that cost us absolutely nothing. Absolutely huge. Also, not to put a dark cloud on all this great news, this is just gives you a perspective on how bad the debt is right now at Barcelona, because even if we were to sell our entire squad, we would still owe 400 million euros because, of course, our debt sits at 1.5 billion euros. The reason I bring this up is because every time we talk about the summer transfer market, people are like, oh, sign Osimhen, sign Bastoni, sign Julian. And I'm like, oh, whoa, hold on, guys. Chill. We're still in a bad financial situation. So chill. Anyway, speaking of financial situation, Joan Laporta has given his first interview since winning re-election, and the president-elect, and I say president-elect because in case you missed it, Laporta will not become president until July 1st. I keep getting these questions. Mo, when is Joan Laporta? Is he president now? When is it? No, until July 1st. It's Rafa Yuste until then. But the president-elect had the following to say And this was, to me, very exciting news. He gave us an update about the Camp Nou, but also an update about the Stadi Johan Cruyff. And this is what the Barcelona president-elect had to say. The alternative for certain matches while the roof is being installed, talking about the Camp Nou, of course, starting in the summer of 2027, is the Johan Cruyff Stadium for a short period. We want to expand the Johan Cruyff Stadium by 10,000 spectators. The Sant Joan Despí City Council, that's the city where the Stadi Johan Cruyff is located, has no objection. We don't want to go back to Montjuic. With the stadium finished, we will reach 450 million euros in revenue. Currently, we're at 125. That's crazy. We can already see that the reality is exceeding expectations. So, Joan Laporta giving us an important update because before they had told us that the third ring should be done by the end of this year. So that means the stadium will be at full capacity by the end of this year, which is 105,000 people. And that in 2027, the roof was going to be built. But there's a period of time, like 4 months, where you're not going to be able to use the stadium while the roof is being built. And of course, the question is, where was the team going to play? Because even if you do you line up those 4 months with the summer months, that's still not enough time, right? Because the players are only out for what? 2 months, 3 months for summer. So there still leaves you with 1 to 2 months where you still need to figure out where to play. And well, now Joan Laporta stated that it would be at the Estadi Johan Cruyff, which is, of course, Barcelona already played a couple of matches there at the beginning of the season. That's where the Barcelona Femini play. That's where the Barca Athletic play. My question to you is, I'm going to be in Barcelona this weekend. I'm going to make a video about the state of the Camp Nou. I'm also going to go see the Barca Femini at the Stadi Johan Cruyff. Would you like me to make a video about the Stadi Johan Cruyff? Let me know down below in the comment section. And then finally, Joan Laporta stated that once the Camp Nou is fully built, it will generate 450 million euros every season. That is absolute insanity. Insanity. Now, Joan Laporta did speak during his interview in regards to Lionel Messi and how Messi did not participate in the election. He didn't choose a side. And this is what Laporta had to say. I would be absolutely delighted to sort this out. The priority is finishing the stadium. Economic recovery is fundamental. Regarding the more personal and club-related matters and the club's fairness, I'm glad Messi didn't take a position in the election. Well, of course you're glad, because he would have said, fuck you, right? Because Messi does not like Joan Laporta, which, by the way, it would have been very interesting to see had Messi come out against Laporta. How would the Laporta bootlickers have reacted? Because they would have had an existential crisis. Remember, they defended Xavi at all costs. Xavi comes out against Laporta. All of a sudden, Xavi's the worst coach ever. They liked Alemany as a sporting director. Alemany agrees with Xavi. All of a sudden, Alemany is the worst sporting director. I wonder what they would have said had Messi come out against Laporta. Wow, they would have said, Messi's underrated, Penaldo's better. That would have been interesting to see, because that's the thing when you blindly follow someone. It makes you very incoherent. It makes you irrational. It makes you say stupid things because, well, you're just blindly following someone instead of using critical thinking. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's move on to the what I thought was concerning part of Joan Laporta's statements during his interview, because he announced and repeated something that he had already stated during his campaign, which he wants the renewal of Robert Lewandowski. Now, Laporta had already said this during his campaign, and I said, I hope that was just an empty campaign promise. It doesn't seem like it is, because Joan Laporta said it once again. The idea is for Deco to renew his contract, talking about Lewandowski. He deserves it. I think that translation is wrong. He came from Bayern, I think, in a very difficult situation. I remember his presentation in Miami. If he wants to stay because his contract is expiring, we'd like him to. He's accepted the role he's been given, and it works well with Ferran Torres. I hope he wants to continue and that it happens. With Ferran and Lewandowski, the position is covered. If it needs strengthening, it will be. There are already strikers. Harry Kane will be the same age as Lewandowski. So it looks like Laporta repeating once again the same thing that he said during his campaign, that he wants to renew Lewy and that he's happy with Lewy and Ferran covering the center forward position. And that to me is concerning, because are you not watching the matches, Mr. Laporta? Don't get me wrong. Like I said a million times, I love Lewy. He's one of my favorite strikers. I think he's one of the greatest strikers of our generation. But his time is up. And Ferran, well, God bless him. Is that really who you want to be your two center forwards next season? That to me is concerning. Now, speaking of Lewandowski, it's reported that the Turkish league are looking to offer him a lot of money. It looks like both Besiktas and Fenerbahce are ready to offer him, get ready for this, a 10 million euro signing bonus plus 20 million euros net per season for 2 seasons. That's 50 million euros to the pocket of Lewandowski for 2 seasons. Man, must be nice to be a football player, huh? Anyways, we'll see whether Lewandowski will say yes. Obviously, it's unlikely that he will because Lewandowski has made it very clear he wants to stay at Barcelona. And now that Joan Laporta wants Lewandowski to stay at Barcelona, unfortunately, that's most likely what's going to happen. Let's hope not. Again, I love Lewy, but his time is up. Now, let's end today's video with the news that Barcelona are still paying Sevilla for the croissant-eating Jules Kounde. Yes, you heard that right. We are still paying for Jules Kounde. Now, Barcelona signed Jules Kounde for 50 million euros from Sevilla. And on top of that fee of 50 million euros, Barcelona agreed to pay Sevilla 2.5 million euros per season until 2027 for each season that Kounde plays at least 45 minutes of 60% of the matches. And of course, as you've seen, Kounde has been probably the player that has played the most out of everyone, which means we've been paying that 2.5 million euros every season since we signed him. We're only 2 matches away for paying it for this season. And my guess is also going to pay it next season. Crazy, crazy, crazy. This is why when people say, well, Mo, that's just a variable. Yeah, variables are usually deferred payments. Okay. I used to say this about Vitor Roque. We signed him for 65 million. They're like, no. It's 30 million plus 35. I'm like, yeah, variables are usually deferred payments. They usually make them very, very easy to accomplish. That way you can kind of like pay it in installments. It's pretty much an official installment plan, because it's like if you fart, oh, here's another 5 million. If you have diarrhea, that's another 5 million. And it's like they make them so easy to meet that most likely you're going to pay 90% of those variables, if not the entire variables. But anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for tuning in. I did go live a few minutes ago. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Barca.